Just saying. Oh, I can't sit.
I was apologizing. I was early.
Oh, yes, but if you sit there, you're right. We're ready when you're upstairs.
Good morning.
Good morning. Yeah.
Good morning.
Let's call to order this executive committee meeting of the Richmond Regional Transportation and Planning Organization. Good morning.
Good morning.
Trust everybody had a joyful, mighty Fourth. Ms. Page, did your barbecue go okay?
Yes, it did. I didn't see you, but okay.
You know,
And I went home and I said, I think I invited 60 people to a cookout.
I think it's what I just did.
Nobody called me, so I was like, okay, I guess we cool.
well, there's always next year. I'd like to introduce Mr. Phil Riggin. Yes, sir. Phil is filling in for Nicole Mueller this morning. Nicole, to our chagrin, has accepted a position with VDOT. Her last day will be next Friday. So all the best to Nicole, and we certainly want to express our appreciation for everything she's done for us while she's been in service here. So if you would, Mr. Parsons, would you read the statement regarding our virtual meetings?
Yes, sir. Actually, we don't need to read it at this point, but we are following the procedures that have been set according to the COVID quarantine emergency declaration by the governor and the subsequent declaration by the city of Richmond, adopted June 28, 2021. The statement was distributed with the meeting packet. It's shown on page 1 of the executive committee packet and has also been posted on our website for any interested members of the public. So we'd be happy to take any questions if there's any from the room, but at this point, feel free to move forward with the next item.
Thanks, sir. Mr. Riggin, do we have a quorum, sir?
Yes, Mr. Chair, we do have a quorum.
Do I have any amendments to the agenda this morning?
Yes, sir.
If not, can I have a motion for approval of the executive committee minutes? So moved.
A second.
We have a motion from Mr. Hodges, and I believe a second from Ms. Page. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. At this point, we'll have our open public comment period. Please come forward. Please give your name, your address. If you're representing an organization.
We have the approval of minutes. Did we do that? We approved the minutes?
Just did.
Yes, we just did.
Okay, I thought it was just the
We just did.
agenda. Okay. I thought the agenda was the listing
We
of.
didn't have a we did not approve the agenda. I asked for any motions to change the agenda. We didn't have any, so we moved to approval of the minutes.
I thought that's what we were voting on. The agenda. Sorry.
So going back to the public comment period, please come forward, give your name, your address. We'll allow you 3 minutes. If you represent an organization, please provide the name of your organization. We'll allow you 5 minutes. Not seeing anybody come forward, I will close the public comment period. That moves us to the chair's report. We could, Chet, would you update us on the certification review that we have coming up?
Yes, sir. Happy to do that. We have, we're working with Federal Highway Administration. Richard Duran was our representative. He is actually transitioning to a new role back closer to home out west. But he's going to be sticking with us through the certification review, which is great. He understands what we've experienced these last 2 years and the work that's been going on. So we have scheduled 3 days at the end of August. August 24th, I believe, is the first day, and that will be a full day meeting in person, most likely here in this room. where there are a number of different components of the certification review. Federal Highway Administration representatives, VDOT, DRPT, and others, FTA, will all be here to work with particularly staff, but I think that there will be opportunities for any of you, if you're interested in sitting in, for your staff that serve on the technical committee, the Community Transportation Advisory Committee. Everyone will be able to participate, at least to sit and provide input to the review. So that will be the 24th. That's a Tuesday. The 25th, this is a joint certification review. So the 25th, FHWA will be at Tri-Cities MPO in Petersburg, doing the same type of procedure with them. And then on the 26th, Thursday, I believe it is scheduled to be from 1 to 5, will be an open public hearing. Where the public will be invited to participate and hear from FHWA, provide feedback to them. And that will be the close of the certification review. And then they'll work through the results and tabulate their report and everything and get that back to us. The last time this was done was 2017. So we are working closely with our partners at the federal level to make sure they have all the necessary information that they need to make this the best experience possible for all of us.
Could you briefly explain why this is an important deal for us?
Sure. I think the root of it is
Can't get
the majority of funding that the TPO works with is federal, whether it's from Federal Highways or Federal Transit Administration. And this is essentially a detailed look at how we operate and the work that we do, and to make sure that we're using federal dollars to the best way we can and following all the rules.
And it's important that we be in compliance.
It's very important we be in compliance, because if we're not, we could lose the money. So it's important for all of us.
Yeah. Do we have any weaknesses?
Excuse me, Ms. Brown?
Do we have any weaknesses that we should look out for? In the past, we, had a couple of things come up.
Yes, so the 2017, the last review, there were a couple of notes there that we needed to improve around Title VI and equity work. And that's one of the focus areas that we've been working on. If you recall, this body approved an update to our Title VI plan, either the last meeting or the meeting before. And that was in direct correlation to the comments that we received at the last review. I'm not aware of any deficiencies that should jump out right now, but that's part of why we're doing this, is to make sure we're aware of anything.
Mr. Chairman, if you don't
Yes,
mind,
Ms. Lutz, go
my
ahead.
last question. So typically or traditionally, have members of this body attended the actual review? In this case, it would be the 24th. How does that traditionally work?
That's a great question. I wasn't here the last time this was
Me
done.
Some members have chosen to participate.
I participated. I'm no.
Ms. O'Bannon?
Yeah,
Ms.
so I've
O'Bannon?
been there before, which is one of the reasons I asked the question. Because they have, through the years, I've usually just shown up and listened.
Is it
And when
like
they
an
say
all-day?
something, I go, I say, we'll work on it. But you just, you can watch and listen. Yeah.
Is it pretty much gonna be like an all-day event, or how long is it usually, do you know?
There's an agenda that's being developed, and I think it's split into maybe hour or 2 hour blocks. So for one session in the morning, they'll look at our freight program. Another session in the afternoon, they'll look at transit or the long range plan. They'll look at different components. So we'll be sure to share that agenda when we get it. And I think it makes sense if you have a particular interest or have experience working with a TPO in a certain area. Any support we can get would be greatly appreciated.
Is it strictly observer? I'm sorry, excuse me, Mr. Chair. Is it strictly an observer role?
I don't believe so. I mean,
So
you're an
actually-
elected official. We work for
I'm
you,
just
so.
thinking, no, well, I'm not thinking about me. I'm
everybody in the room.
Tech person.
It is no way
This
that
session.
the supervisor O'Bannon came and she only observed.
Okay, I withdraw my question. Thank you very much.
Hey, I thought that was the idea.
All right, if there's no more questions on that topic, I'll ask Mr. Parsons to move to the secretary's report.
Yes, sir. Thank you. The first item, I wanted to just update the executive committee with our schedule for Connect RVA 2045. We are approaching the end of this process. The vote is scheduled for October 4th. If you recall, that meeting was moved to a Monday to make sure that that the body was able to take action before the deadline for the current long-range plan to expire. A couple, I guess, housekeeping items for your information. We have had, in addition to Ms. Mueller, another staff member has left to take a job in the private sector. So we are, anybody that also serves with the Plan RVA Commission, we are utilizing fully the bench of consultants that's been hired to help with a variety of different things to help us get over the hump, to make sure that this plan is completed well and has all the necessary components. So they are working primarily with me, but other members of the staff as well, in three areas. One, to make sure the draft plan is ready for public review. That public review period starts August 16th. And I believe that's actually on the agenda for your, for action today. The second area is making sure that public review goes well. So providing multiple options for people to participate, being aware of the Delta variant and whether in-person meetings will work. We're looking at virtual options, hybrid options, many ways to share information with the media, a multifaceted approach. And then the third component of our consultant assistance is getting the final draft ready for action and your consideration. So taking all the info we get in the public review period, that 30 days, and making sure that everything is incorporated as necessary so that we have a good plan that's ready for action in October. So with that,
Mr. Parsons,
Mr. Dana?
I told you.
are you going to mention the article in the newspaper?
Just saying.
Are you going to mention that? Because I am. There was an article in the newspaper about the
Yes.
Plan RVA.
Yes.
And the headline said more than 80% of a 20-year Richmond Region transportation plan is dedicated for highways.
Yes.
And it came up on my screen and it popped up and I read it. And in the article, it said, the majority of funding is dedicated to major road projects such as the Fall Line Trail from Ashland to Petersburg and a lane widening project on I-64. However, transportation activists and respondents to public comments say the region should prioritize funding for projects that do not require cars. The implication of that, because this was a very biased article, the implication of that is the Fall Line Trail is for cars.
Yeah.
So my comment immediately, I posted a comment that said, it is apparent that this reporter doesn't know what the Fall Line Trail is. And immediately I was stopped and it said, we're not going to post this. We're going to check on it. We're sorry, it's not you. We're just going to check on it. Well, it was me, obviously. But so immediately I added, the reporter needs to read this. And I posted the website address of the Fall Line Trail, Again, it was squashed. And so I waited and I called Mr. Parsons and sent this over to him. I wanted backup, I guess you could say. I wanted somebody to verify that I was wrong. I mean, it was wrong and tell me I was wrong if it wasn't. I also sent a copy to your manager just so I'd be sure, wait a minute, what's going on? And it turns out the reporter was an intern who was apparently working remotely. And did she call you and interview you on the phone? She was working remotely. I don't know where, Massachusetts, Wyoming, I don't know. But she was working remotely. And eventually I got the message Your comment on more than 80% of 20-year Richmond Region Transportation Plan is dedicated for highway projects. Some want that changed, which was the headline. It has been rejected as it contains content that is in breach of our community guidelines. What does, that means nothing. It was just wrong. So they took out all references to the Fall Line Trail from the article, and then reposted it. Am I not correct? Did I get that right? And you had told her to call you and check, and as an intern, that's probably what she should have done. You don't have to change your article. But the article had incorrect information in it. I just want you to know the newspaper, the editor, both the writer and the editor did not correct it either. So I want you to know how bad the reason I'm doing it, how bad the newspaper is right now, okay? That's why I really wanted to say that. And eventually the comment I made, and I actually had people, send me stuff, what's going on, why is this there, so I responded to them. But I eventually got the comment that I just said, the Fall Line Trail is for bikes and walkers, bicycles and walkers. They let that stand. And then they took all references out of the article about the Fall Line Trail. And the article, of course, took how many comments? Fewer than 10 people's comments, and twisted that into a lot of people don't like this. I mean, that's not exactly, that's bad reporting all around. So sorry, but I just.
Ms. Bennett, thank you.
I just had to do that.
Thank you for bringing that forward. I had calls as well, questioning the article. A lot of people saw, the flaws in the article that called and contacted me. Mr. Hodges, I know you want to comment.
Well, I just was curious. I have been out of town and may have missed that article. Was that in a recent Times Dispatch?
Yes.
In July, yeah. July. I have July 16th. It's the date of this email, so.
Well, that's news to me.
So, Mr. Chair,
Yes, Ms. Page.
Just want to get
Thank you.
I commented too, because I saw I-64 went crazy. Of course, they rejected my comments, right? So I feel a little bit better that I wasn't the only one that had rejected comments, but I just went on full blast on it.
And see, I didn't even see that because
I was trying to talk about I-64 widening at this meeting today, but since you brought it up now, I also commented, my comments were also rejected. And so.
What did you say that they rejected? I mean, this is what gets me. If they're going to reject your comments, I mean, they would be very apropos, to put in there.
And I defended the Fall Line Trail. It's not for cars, but I had to defend I-64 widening as well.
Sure.
And so they just
it
don't
was
want to hear any of it,
inappropriate,
And so I was just like, this is gross misinformation, after they sent me the first rejection, and it just went downhill. So they still rejected me.
Well, I think this underscores what Mr. Thornton has always urged us, and that is to be able to get out into public and explain to people what we do as an organization. So again, I think it's very important that we inform the public as to what we are doing and have information available to them and be proactive in getting the message out, because if you're depending on the media, it might not happen. In fact, reverse might happen.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes,
Which
Mr.
paper
Howell.
may I ask is that in? I didn't
The
see it
Times
on-
Dispatch.
The Times Dispatch?
Yeah.
Okay. I just
Richmond
want to
Times
verify who it
Times
is.
Dispatch.
Yeah, I didn't see your article, but that is so true, what you just stated.
Oh, Ms. Page, I'm very interested. So what did you say that got you rejected?
We'll just talk about it after this.
We'll move on. but
Yeah, I'm
Ms.
sorry.
Bennett,
I can't believe the newspaper is supposed to, it's supposed to be public comment, and then they squash it.
And I gave them my number. I thought they would call me for an interview, but they didn't.
All right, let's move forward. Ms. Parson, would you like to move to their agenda topics?
Yes, sir, be happy to. I guess one note to Ms. Savannah's concerns, we, as part of this outreach plan for the next public review period, we're working with multiple media sources, not just the Times Dispatch. So
Oh, good.
we want to share the information broadly into many different communities. The agenda topics for the upcoming 9:30 meeting the main focus is listed under item B1. We have Deputy Secretary Nick Donahue is going to be here with us to talk about Virginia's transportation program. The title is Recent Changes and COVID Impacts. And this gets to, I think, an excellent foundational understanding of what's happened the last few years with funding for transportation in Virginia. And it relates to the concerns that were raised at the July 1 meeting regarding revenue sharing and impacts to other funding streams. So we do have 45 minutes on the agenda. And in that time, there will be opportunities for Q&A following the presentation. So I expect this is going to be a really well presented.
I'm excited about this part of the agenda because we're going to have an opportunity, just like Ms. Lascolette and I had with Mr. Parsons, to hear this gentleman. He's obviously well educated in the area in which he's located transportation, and you can tell when somebody is really into what they do. It came across through the phone and the conference call that this gentleman is really excited about what he does about transportation, and he's extremely knowledgeable. He has the history, and he can explain to us what is and isn't going on in VDOT. So that's an important piece of information that we need. We have VDOT attending our meetings, but sometimes we overlook where we've been and how we got here and why things are working the way they're working today. And he's going to be providing that information to us. And I think you're going to resonate with questions and be excited about his presentation today. So I'm really looking forward to y'all appreciating what Susan and I was able to get from that conversation. Mr. Hodges.
Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to echo your comments. I just participated last week in Virginia Municipal League Transportation Policy Committee meeting in which Mr. Donahue spoke. And he did everything that you're suggesting. He's very knowledgeable, enthusiastic, and the right person to answer the question.
I think we're going to have a good presentation and a good discussion, so I'm excited. Please continue on this part.
Yes, sir. So item B2 is a series of tip amendments requested by GRTC. Mr. Bushing will present that. Item B3 is our draft regional conformity assessment. If you remember, the air quality in the region in the past was deficient. It has since improved to the point where there really aren't major issues according to the federal statutes, but there is a lawsuit that still requires the conformity to be the air quality to be tested and included in our long range plan update. So this is a report that will be part of the long range plan that was ushered through by our technical committee. This happened at the last TAC meeting. There was a review and presentation of the report in a draft format. The TAC is recommending approval. So that's going to be before you today. And we do expect that the gentlemen from the state that are leading that effort to draft the report will be, I think, on the phone with us if there are any detailed questions. And then the last item, B4, is a request to open the public review and comment period for the long range plan starting August 16th through September 15th. And that is mostly due to, we're asking you to approve that today rather than a later date because of just the staggered schedule of other meetings. The advisory committee meeting is upcoming, but we felt it made the most sense to come through you as the decision makers to make sure that public review is loud and clear and open when it needs to be. And then the rest of the agenda is as you would expect on our regular meeting agendas, agency and committee reports. Mr. Martin is our new chair of the CTAC. He should be here to provide the CTAC update. And then we'll get into future meeting topics and talk about the next meeting, September 2nd.
Question, Mr. Chair.
Yes, please, Dr. Newbill.
So I have a question regarding a new business item. I can wait until the meeting if you like, but if you have the answer, then I wouldn't have to address it. This is B2. I'm very interested in, there's a required match there. And if that is a match that's being borne by CBTA or by the multiple jurisdictions, if you know that, I mean, otherwise I can ask that question.
I believe Mr. Bush will be best equipped to do that. But
Okay.
my understanding is that GRTC has no intention of using their CBTA funds
That's fine.
for this, but
Okay.
we need to clarify that.
Right, then what is the breakdown in
Yes, ma'am.
terms of the match? Yes, who's, bearing those costs?
Yes.
Okay,
That's a good question.
okay,
Would have followed you.
thank you. I thought if you had the answer, we could just say that.
That brings us to other business. Any member comments? Anything you would like to share? I think, Ms. Lascalette, you had something occur over in your jurisdiction just recently.
We did. We are again in search of a county administrator. Our county administrator resigned, but we did appoint an interim
Yes.
county administrator Tuesday, and that is Manuel Alvarez, who's formerly of our board.
And it's no stranger to us.
Yeah, I know, man.
So, yeah, so we're really excited about it. He will be on board until we can find a permanent county administrator.
Any other member comments?
If my county administrator apply, please let me know immediately.
What was that?
Excuse me.
I told if my county administrator apply, please let me know immediately.
Okay, our next meeting is September 2nd, and with that, I will adjourn our